Nope.
I can even hear you, Tom.
Question is, who can?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's 4:30. I'd like to begin by standing for a moment of silence, followed by a pledge of allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have roll call, please.
Brad Hint.
Here.
Ken Snyder.
Here.
Pete Hamill.
Here.
Chantel Ostra. Here. Tom Eggers.
Here.
All right. Next item up is approval of the agenda. I'll take a motion for that.
So move.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hamill.
Aye.
Ostra. Aye. Eggers.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye. We now move on to the public forum portion of our meeting. If you want to address the council now, you certainly may. Now is your opportunity. There will be another discussion opportunity if you're here to discuss the city park master plan, proposed plan. We will have a public forum at that point too. So you're welcome to, if you want to make those comments now, but probably would be better if you save those comments if it relates to the park business. So with that, anyone here wants to address the council at this time? Okay. Any other written comments?
None.
Okay. Then let's move on to the consent agenda. I'll take a motion to approve that.
So move.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Hint.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Ostra. Aye. Eggers.
Aye.
All right, moving then on to item 6, the rezonings of 331 North 5th and 415 West Park Street. We will have separate readings for both of those. The way it's laid out, it just makes it a little cleaner on this for administration to handle it. So open the third reading for the property at 331 North 5th Avenue. Anyone wishing to address that?
What do you need the motion for? The third reading on
Yeah, to
the first
approve
one,
the-
A.
Yeah.
I would make that motion.
Okay, we have support for that.
I'll support that.
Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Ostra. Aye.
All right, then, same song, second verse, the third reading for the property at 415 West Park Street. Okay, yes, please.
So I apologize, I left the printed messages in my office, but I've received, Mark Brown and I received a message from Travis Klein yesterday that they are ready to proceed. They're not seeking any additional information, TIF, et cetera, from the city, so they are ready to move forward. Closing, I believe, hasn't been set, but there is a verbal agreement, and so the drafting just needs to be done of the closing. That cover that, right? Okay.
All right. Any further comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve that reading.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Hamill.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Ostra. Aye. Snyder.
Aye. And since we have approval for both of those properties, we can also do consideration of the revised zoning map that was introduced on November 19. Any comments on that from you?
Nope, very straightforward.
Okay. So we'd entertain a motion for that.
So move.
Support.
Any discussion or questions from the council? Hearing none, ask for roll call, please.
Eggers,
Aye.
Ostra, Hint,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
All right. Turning the page, item A there, details on the rezoning of 331 North Fifth.
We don't need to.
Oh, that's part of it. Never mind. We just took care of that. Sorry. New business. We want to have a discussion on recycling. Ken, you kind of brought it to the table initially. So any comment, you want to kind of bring us up to speed on what led you to do that?
The discussion, to bring it to discussion, well, a phone call from one of my neighbors complaining about the recycled garbage blowing down the street. And then I think it was the next day or something, I dodged a box. Or maybe it was that afternoon. I dodged a box that was blowing, and that brought my attention to it. And then over the last few weeks, people talk to me about that. What can we do? The frustration. I talked to Mark, and there was frustration there because of situations. Tom and I had a long talk, and we both agreed we do need a discussion to get something going. You know, we all have our opinions and all our ideas. When I first came on the council, ignorance, I said, well, what's the city having to do with the garbage anyhow? What is that our job? And I was explained the reason why we went that direction. And I understand the situation, but I still would rather do it myself, so to speak. I'm a 2-year-old when it comes to that. I think I can take care of my life, but we're in that situation. There's a lot. I went to some businesses downtown and to different people and talked to them, and no one seems to have a real answer. So that's why I'm bringing it up for discussion. If we could do something to help Mark out. I found out we have an opportunity. There's a grant out there for the situation for people buying receptacles that we can get. Mark said he would work with us and on whatever area. So I brought it up to discussion, and that's what brought me to that point.
Okay. So these receptacles that you're talking about, what would be the advantage of them versus how it is now?
Mark, well, number one, they're bigger, and they don't tip over like those little blue things. If we're going to set rules, then it needs to be in those receptacles instead of out where it can be blown away by the wind. A lot of times people won't break down boxes. I don't know why they can't understand that, and that's one problem. And you can't put a bunch of cardboard out in a cardboard box with the wind we have around here. So those receptacles, Mark, another thing that led me to it in the same time period, I looked out the window one morning when 3 guys were picking up. It took 3 people, whereas Mark with his lift truck would have 1 driver. So that would make a lot of difference. And then one of the problems then is, what if there's more than what can be held in that? Well, Mark suggested that we could do like he does with the regular garbage. If there's extra, then they pay a fee for the extra thing.
Okay.
So.
All right. Any other comment?
I would
comments?
agree that I think it would alleviate quite a lot of it. It won't eliminate it.
No.
But we had looked at containers a few years ago, and I think, and I have one, and it works for the most part. Once in a while, there's a box that won't fit in there, and I, for one, don't set it out. I usually take it down to I plan on getting there when the large dumpster's been dumped and put it in there. I'd rather do that than set it on the ground and have it blow away, but that's me. But it would certainly alleviate a lot of problems if we had those larger containers. Question becomes, we'd have to sort out who pays for them and how that works. And we've had that discussion before, but it's probably time to have it again.
How do you handle the customers that have the big cans?
Oh, well,
I already have mine.
sucks to be me. I don't know.
I'm just,
I already
I'm just
have one,
asking.
and
I have
I'm
one.
fine. Oh, well.
Okay, I was asked that a couple of times. Tom and I talked about that. What's the difference? If I already have my container and I'm using it, people have bought ground out there, bought the lot, and then we give the neighbor $1 lot.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, like somebody said in the meeting, that's just the way life is.
yeah, I mean, I'm just asking the
Yeah.
question.
I'm
So,
yeah.
yeah, maybe the other option is, instead of we dump that container twice a week, maybe go in to dump it 3 times?
You're talking the
The
big
big
one that
one,
sets out.
yeah.
Is that the issue, or
I
is it
don't,
more
I think the issue is the
individual?
weather, is the wind. And we can't control the weather.
That's
Right.
Really?
I
like
know we
Mark,
want to try
like Mark says, it blows the hardest on the Thursdays.
on
The second-
Thursday.
Second and fourth Thursday.
Yep. Till you go to work and then it
Yeah.
starts blowing.
Just Mark, I'm going to give Chantel and Tom a chance to comment, and then I'll ask you to come forward to the mic, if that's all right. Anything further that you want to add, Chantel, or question? And Tom, how about you? Do you have any further comments or questions?
Yeah, I will, after Chantel. if
Yeah,
she has-
she's shaking her head no here.
Okay. Yeah, I
Couldn't
do.
hear that.
I think I've mentioned it before when we spoke in this, that with the availability of residential canisters comes along some cost efficiencies that we do not are not experiencing today. One, the last time we had a price increase from DeCrife, one of the main onuses of that increase was because of recycling and them having to use manual labor to make that work. I understand as far as canister size is concerned, you get up to a 90 a cubic foot container, and that's quite a bit larger than what we tend to use for our garbage right now. But it still allows DeCrife to go ahead and use their automated loading system. And with a larger size container and the fact that DeCrife can do it automatically, and with the onus on the homeowners to utilize that for their recycling and not rely upon the dumpster as we have today, we're going to save money on the dumpster costs. We can divert that money until all the residents, one way or another, have the proper can or container in order to meet the requirements of the ordinance. And we will also sustain our costs as far as DeCrife feeling like they have extra needs for labor costs and whatever's associated with it. I would be willing to support that on a once every 2 week route basis, similar to what it is today. But I would like to also leave it open to see once if the frequency would not also help the situation. So that's kind of how I have it outlined in my mind. Thanks.
Okay. All right, Mark, if you would come forward, if you want to make comments, would you come forward, please? We value your input.
I've got lots to say, I guess, but not much here. I know Ken talked about charging people for the extra recycle that's by the can, and we've been having some discussion already, and that's not an option. We're not gonna go that way. And the recycle box will be dumped 3 times a week from now on. till the first of the year. So I just got a call today that was completely full, and I dumped it Monday afternoon already, so.
And what is the cost again, Mark, for every time we dump it?
$100, and I pay every other dime, so you guys, the city pays every other dump. We split the cost.
Mark, do you have any idea of what percentage of your customers have the larger lidded recycling cans?
No, I don't. Last week we were gonna count, but recycling was on Wednesday instead because of the
Yeah.
holiday, so that screwed everybody up. So tomorrow, I think we're gonna try to get a rough count. And we'll do it the following week, so we'll get both routes.
Would you see that if we did go down that route, that would be a plus for you, wouldn't it?
That would be a plus for me,
Easier.
but that's totally up to you guys. So,
No, I
mean,
understand that.
I definitely would welcome it, yeah,
Okay.
so. but that's
Ken,
all
you
I-
mentioned grants for the larger containers. Did I understand that correctly? There was a program out there to supplement the purchase of larger containers?
What was that?
Did you, I thought, I heard you talking, there was like grant available or
Yeah.
some fundraising or funds available, I should say, for the larger
Right.
recycling containers.
Yeah, Mark sent me that. I think I sent it to Sam, the information. 10,000, was that it?
Yeah, it's called the REAP grant
Okay.
through Iowa DNR. And perhaps the best way to do it would be to work with the Crife directly, and then they can subsidize the cans rather than us trying to store cans and deal with that. But we can work that out. That's really somewhat of a minor detail. I think I have a few things to say when it's time.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this may be just a little bit repetitive, but I've attempted to, after talking to some of you and talking to Mark and Missy, I think it's important that we first define what the problem really is. And so this is a three-part effort to define the bottom line. So there appears to be a collective desire to keep the large container, which is on the south side of their yard on 2nd Avenue. It's intended only for in-town residents, but Mark and Misty have said in the past that businesses and out-of-town residents use it too. Mark has been talking to businesses with mixed results to ask them to have their own recycle roll-off container. There's a signage. The signage is faded or missing, so that's something that I can work with you on. We can update the signage. The signage could include its residents inside city limits, approximately when it's emptied, and what is allowed. And the signage would be in both English and Spanish. I'm also going to be checking the city code to see what enforcement mechanism there is if there's other things that are put in the dumpster and we catch somebody doing it. So that's something that I'm going to be looking into. Number two, boxes aren't being broken down for curbside pickup. And I didn't realize until we visited yesterday that not only is an inconvenience issue, it's a serious safety issue for you, Missy, and it needs to stop, right?
Not right now. How they pick it up, they can throw it in the back, but if we went to the big can, if they had it sitting beside there, I would have to go around to the street and climb up the other side of the truck on a ladder with the boxes and dump them over the top.
Got it.
So okay, for now it's fine, but that's only a safety issue if we go to the big.
Because
They
you use
don't have to break their boxes down right now. They can have a big box with stuff inside of it, and they can grab it, throw it in the back of the truck. That's okay for right now. But if we got the big can, they would not be able to have the boxes outside. I would have to go into the street to climb up the ladder.
I don't know if Tom heard any of that, but
Yeah.
do you mind just stepping up and repeating and condensing that for us?
How we collect right now, it's fine to leave the boxes in their square shape, put other stuff inside of it. It's easy to throw it in the back of the truck because it's waist level. If we go to the big cans, we will not be able to pick up boxes beside those big cans because I have to get it on top of the truck instead of behind it. So I would have to go into the street, hold onto it, climb up a ladder, and put it on the top. And so if we go to big cans, that becomes a safety issue for the boxes. So that's another reason why you either have to cut them up to put them in that big container. If they're too big, like he was saying with a TV box or something like that, that's what the box at the shop is for. Any other questions?
Do you see the larger cans as an advantage? I mean, I'm hearing mixed things right now. I mean, if you had your preference, would you make, like, whether we make it mandatory or strongly suggested that we have the large cans that can be picked up by your truck?
There are benefits to both sides. We will do whatever you guys decide to do. I think the biggest benefit of those big cans is to keep the town clean. Because like Mark said, it always blows the worst on Thursday. And it's the part of people. I mean, I go down the street, if I'm going to the store and I see people's stuff rolling around, I can see it in the can, but it's not out. I'll get out and put it out. It's just inconvenient. We live in Iowa. It's messy. Somebody doesn't want their neighbors recycling on their front lawn. We don't want it in the gutters. That's the biggest benefit of getting the big can. It's a cost. It's an extra thing for a homeowner to do. I understand all of that, but it is a convenience to have that big container. It gives them a bigger can than those small little ones that we have. So every 2-week collection, they have a bigger area to hold their recycling. It will keep the town cleaner. Them are the benefits of the big can. And if you have a box cutter, you can cut those boxes into 4s. They go in that big can as easy as can be. You just have to cut down your boxes. So if you have boxes and we go to the big cans, it's not like you can't put them in the big can. You can't. It just takes a little effort cutting them down smaller. So.
Are we all in agreement that we want to encourage as much recycling as possible as a city?
Yeah.
No.
Because even the benefits them, the more you can recycle, the less tonnage that goes into landfill. So it's going to benefit everybody in the long run.
Right.
So just for my clarification, Mark's first comment when he came up was something wasn't going to go away, and I didn't quite catch the first part of it.
Mark doesn't.
Can you clarify that, Mark?
Missy's gonna.
Mark doesn't remember what he said the first thing he came up here. But that's what I was up here talking about.
I guess what I was assuming he said or was referencing was the large container as we have today. Is that correct?
Like the large roll-off box at the shop?
Yeah.
That is going to stay. He meant that if we got the big cans, people can't put a pile of boxes beside it for us to collect, because that's what I was explaining. It's a safety issue.
Okay.
That's what he was talking about.
So the large canister by the shop today, in my vision of this, that would go away as far as at least an expense of the city. If we're going to help subsidize the larger cans, I would say that the cost for dumping the roll-off would go away as a city subsidized expense. Did you understand that from what I had said earlier? If not, I want to clarify.
Yes, I understood that. And we have, when we met with some people, there's been talks about how there's different ways that we can do that. That has been under discussion. I don't think there's anything that's been clarified about that, but there has been like talk of that. None of that's been ironed out right now because we're still in the preliminary talks, I guess.
So what you're referencing then is just some discussion about alternative ways of funding that other than the city.
Yes, or like we would pay for that extra. If we would pick it up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we would pick up the 2 of the 3 pickups that week, and the city would pay for 1. So initially, instead of being split,
what if the city didn't pay for it? Because that's where I'm heading. I want to use the money that we're paying for dumping it right now to help subsidize for the cans so that the citizens can break down their boxes, put them in the larger cans, and you can easily pick them up
Yes,
with the
but
autoloader.
if the city's paying for the people who don't have cans, then that's a discussion for the city council. That's not really Mark and I.
I just want to make sure you guys understand that I'm pushing to get rid of the cost for the city when it comes to the existing roll-off that's up there.
Can you get everything in the cans without having the extra dump? I don't think you can you? You need that.
I think we're still gonna need that box.
We need you to use mic.
You'll have to come up here.
I can see it phasing out, but I think people are going to have to learn that they're going to have to depend upon their own selves to handle and manage their recycling. And these larger cans, which are 90, I think, cubic feet or whatever, are a tremendously larger can than what most people are visualizing, and definitely using today, I would say.
I guess I don't see that roll-off box for recycling going away. I don't know. That's just my opinion. It's up to you guys, but.
But if the people would recycle in the cans, maybe you could say it too. You wouldn't have to increase that to the third time dumping.
I don't know. It's all up in the air.
I mean,
really.
if the people
Yeah.
would do their responsibility and do it right.
Plus, then you also have some holiday times where
Right.
people have
Yeah.
more recycling.
You know,
I've
Right.
got,
I don't think it's gonna go away.
And
no
you
matter
got
what we
people-
do. So,
But it should maybe go down a little bit.
and you
I
got people
think the
moving.
biggest thing it would help with is the stuff blowing down the street.
Right.
I
right.
think it would help that. I'm not sure I
The big
agree with
cans will
Mark.
do
I don't
that.
think that big can is ever going to go
No.
away. Now, maybe we'll get to the point where we don't have to empty it as often, but I think that's just a given. But I think it would help. I see some of those little tiny cans and they're stacked up twice as high as the can and there's stuff all around and it blows away. I think the larger can would help that problem.
Those little cans, they started 30, 35 years ago when
Yeah.
recycling first started. We didn't know what recycling was going to be back then.
Right.
So recycling's outgrown them, and
No, if that box is only, if it don't need dumped 3 times a week, I won't do it. So, I'm not gonna do it if it don't need it. So,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But
I guess
So
I'd like,
Did you catch that, Tom?
Yeah, I did. Okay. My follow-up question is, what is the cost of the can? What are we looking at needing to expend?
I don't remember.
I mean, that's what I'd like to see is, okay, what's this going to cost dollar-wise? What's it going to cost the end user?
Right.
I think we need to figure those numbers out and then move forward after that.
If the city
So-
would get the grant, that would decrease. It'd be a one-time charge to buy the can for the house.
So what's the cost of the can?
Yet to be determined.
Mark, what's the cost of the can?
I'm waiting for some quotes to come back in, so
What do you estimate it'll cost?
they're probably $70 for the smaller ones and probably 80 for the bigger ones.
Okay.
If we're buying.
Yeah, buying quantity.
And I think if you're going to do it, buy the big cans and have a uniform. You have one size can, recycling period. And how many cans would we need to have?
We don't know that yet.
How many customers would we have?
Well,
Do we have
they're
we
those
gonna
don't know
counts?
how many already
He's gonna
have them.
count over the next couple
It's
weeks.
subject to the count.
He's gonna let us know next week.
He's going to count. But I think it's something we should at least explore.
Yes.
And if we can get that grant, that would cut that cost per can down. too.
Right. But let's look into it and then once we
Yeah.
have some concrete numbers, we can decide
Yeah.
whether we want to move forward. Right now, it's all speculation, so.
So if you
On-
have the
on an
can,
es-
you can opt out then of buying a can.
What's that?
If you already have a 95-gallon can, can you opt out of getting the new one?
I would think so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I would think
hope
you
so.
could opt out if you had a
No,
72
okay.
or whatever that other size. You can pick them up both.
Now you don't need another one.
Right.
Okay.
No.
Now, what sizes of cans are there?
There's
He said 95 gallon. Is that the
there's a
standard?
95 gallon, and there's a 65 gallon, that's the size you got,
Okay, that's what I have, is a 65 gallon. I don't want a 95 gallon. It won't fit down my garage.
If you want to buy 2 recycling cans, you can have 2, you can have 3. If you can recycle as much as recycling as your house will generate.
Yeah, I like my big can,
Yeah.
a 95 gallon.
I think we need to do some more
Yeah.
work on it now. I think we all want to move forward with it, but I think we need to come up with a plan. And I would
Right.
authorize the city officials, or city staff to take that on, if you would, please.
So just rough math on the $80 estimated cost and $10,000 worth of grant, that's 125 canisters. That'd go a long ways to get this thing going the right direction, in my opinion. So, but I agree with what's being said. Let's get the figures. Let's take a look at it, but let's move forward.
All right.
In the meantime, would it be beneficial to have new signage made for the dumpster if we don't intend to eliminate that immediately?
Perhaps.
I just think that would be
That's
a
easy.
minor
Yeah.
expense that would
Yeah.
maybe be helpful.
Yeah, the one question would be the schedule for it, because Mark and Missy have said they would prefer only to go 3 times a week if there's the cans, right? We can work through that. So I'll work on that.
Okay, can we move on?
Yes.
All right. Item B is approval of pay application number 9 for the Western Avenue project. Take a motion for that, to approve that.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion, any comments? Anything from you? That's your call.
I think we all know.
So they've got, they're going to try to, the intersection of West 9th is not poured back yet. They've got 1 pour left on the intersection of West 10th and a couple of driveways like the one to our shop and the one to Armory. They're going to try to get those done yet this winter, hopefully by Wednesday of next week. We just need some afternoons where the temp is getting close to freezing. They got ground heaters in all them areas trying to keep the frost out, keep the ground ready. And then they'll have to winter shut down, and then they'll be back in the spring. Days-wise, they're out of days, but we'll discuss that next year when it's,
Okay.
Right now, it's not a relevant discussion.
All right,
This is for work through 11.
okay. We'll take a motion. Do we get a motion?
Yeah, we have a motion.
Okay, and support. Okay, roll call, please.
Ostra,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Hint,
Aye.
Eggers. Eggers.
Are you still with us, Tom?
Yep.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. All right, let's move on into reports. We have with us today Mike Cedar from BEI, and he's going to do the initial presentation of our park plan, city park master plan. Welcome.
Okay, hello. Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm going to walk you through kind of where we're at. We're representing this as a final draft of the Parks Master Plan that we started in August. So it was completed by our team at Beck Engineering, including our landscape architects, that's myself, led the master planning efforts. We also collaborated with our architecture team and our civil engineers to do a full evaluation of the entire park in a lot of detail in order to give you what we hope to be as a roadmap for future improvements in this park. We're showing a lot of opportunities here with a lot of big dollars if you add them all up, but it's not meant to be all one project. It's meant to be a list of items that you all could choose from as your priorities arise, and then you would have dollar amounts to help you plan those projects. So master planning is a great high-level evaluation of the whole park. What issues do we see from a safety and access standpoint? How are the buildings? What shape are those in? What are our recommendations there? And then what opportunities do we have to create something special in this park to really promote more users and visitors? Okay, so that's what we'll go through. I won't go through this in exhausting detail. I'll try to gloss over. Please just jump in with questions if you have them. But primarily, we're going to talk about the inventory, what we saw on site, our architectural assessment. That's our detailed review of each building from our architects and recommendations for each. And then the final park master plan, which is what opportunities do we have, what other amenities could we add, what improvements could we make that would make an impact in this park. So just an overview of your existing park, not much to share there. But we started, and we know the main goal and the main focus and the starting driving factor of this whole plan was let's address safety and access. Where do we have deteriorating materials, and where do we have any access issues? So we kind of ranked everything in good, fair, and poor condition. Hopefully that helps identify what becomes a priority first as far as what becomes replaced. So as you look generally at this site, most of the internal walkways are in fairly good condition, fair condition. Obviously your 320th Street sidewalk is in great condition. It's brand new. Your asphalt drives, as they move through the site, are also in good condition. We are showing in the master plan removing those just as a way to improve circulation site. So the poor condition areas, mostly along the perimeter where your main poor condition pavement is. Parking, the skate park sidewalk is deteriorating. 6th Avenue gravel, which is now asphalt parking. There's a safety railing that's non-conforming in compliance. 6th Avenue street parking, there's a very shallow parking stalls there. East garage driveway, some deterioration on that concrete. The asphalt drive sidewalk approaches are non-ADA compliant, as well as in the corners. Got some new ADA detectable warnings there, but the slopes are not complying with ADA guidelines. So we're showing those in poor condition. We know the curb along 6th Street is deteriorating. It's also too tall. So that's a priority. The parking along 4th Avenue in general is all too narrow. So it's about 16 to 16 and a half feet deep. Would ask for 18 feet at a minimum for depth of the stall, especially with a public street right on the back side of those. So that's why we're calling those in poor condition. Throughout, you've got ADA stalls marked as ADA stalls that are not in compliance. So those are included in our poor condition. So we have some pictures and some detail there. You have those in those packets. I won't go into those in much detail. But generally speaking, the outside perimeter is what's in poor condition. Internal is fair. And yeah, primarily the parking areas, I think, should all be addressed. Primary amenities, again, fair, poor condition. Your Veterans Memorial is in fairly good condition. Seems to be in pretty good shape. Some minor touch-ups would be all that would be needed there as an opportunity. But your skate park is certainly in deteriorated condition, poses some safety hazards. Your baseball and softball fields, we're noticing a lot of issues with the retaining walls as those are heaving and crumbling. Your dugouts, your access to those dugouts is not ADA compliant or accessible. And there's some general deterioration on the fencing as well. So those are in poor condition. Your basketball court needs new hoops and baskets. Also, the concrete itself is not too bad a condition, but there is some ponding and some pooling there, which is not ideal. Your playground, we know that's a valuable community piece, but those wooden playgrounds just do not meet today's standards as far as accessibility and material standards that we would require on any new playground project that was built. So in order to provide an inclusive and accessible playground experience, that should be replaced with something new. So that's why that's listed as in poor condition as well. Okay, so again, some more pictures and some detailed description of each. I won't go into those. The next layer, accessory amenities. So apart from our big main attractions, our primary pieces, these are all the little things, the trash cans, the benches, the memorials, the lighting, and the site power. So we tried we tried to evaluate those as best we could and kind of rank in good, fair, medium condition. You'll see the recommendations later on. Those are generally handled by the city directly. It wouldn't necessarily need to be part of a larger project. But the goal with this master plan is that it would allow you to group certain parts and pieces of this together to create a project. Some pictures of those. The architectural assessment. So our architects went in to each one of these buildings and did a very detailed review of each, addition of each. You have what we're calling one building is in good condition out on site, and that's that east garage. Fairly functional on the inside, just some minor improvements on the outside to get that to good functional condition. Fair condition. What we're saying next to those is our recommendation is to upgrade and refurbish those. So rather than tear them down and build anything new, spend some money and upgrade and refurbish those buildings to get those back into functional spaces. And then poor condition, the Girl Scout Legion BFW cabin, the Boy Scout cabin, your dugouts, all your baseball and softball dugouts and concession stand, those are listed in poor condition. Varying levels of what would be required to get those to be public use buildings. Ultimately, when we recommend or when we put it in the poor condition category, that means the price to refurbish would be way outside of what it would cost to tear it down and build. So the east garage, as I mentioned, fairly functional and working in interior. So minor updates needed, reside and repaint, add some vented soffits, some joint filler here and there, some minor updates, and we do have a cost at the bottom there up to $8,000 to get that up to speed. Your multi-use shelter in the center of the park is in fairly good condition. The new bathrooms are in great condition. Other recommendations as far as upgrading and refurbishing, remove and replace the shingles and the chimney flashing, so new roofing. Remove and replace some gutters, update some light fixtures, install some ADA and code compliant egress doors and some door hardware, and update the overhead doors with some windows. West garage, upgrade and refurbish, some aging trim, some paint needed, but pretty minor updates there as well. Large park shelter. We know this is a functional space, and it serves its purpose to provide an opportunity to sit in the shade. There were some safety concerns. There's some low soffits on the edge that are a little bit of a head scratcher for guys like myself. The open canopy on the interior, we noticed some kids on site actually actively climbing up from the tables up into the rafters and up and trying to access that roof. So in part of our upgrade and refurbish recommendations include adding some wall coverings, adding some ceiling material, and adjusting that soffit. The gazebo, it looks a little weathered and worn, but it's in fairly functional shape. So the idea here is that with roughly $10,000 worth of work, you can get that refurbished and looking good again. The small park shelters, generally those could be updated. The main issue that we have with those is the concrete underneath and the lack of access to them from any sidewalk connection. So you've got to walk through the grass to get to them now. We do have a cost in there to demolish or upgrade and refurbish. That one you could take either way. Adding some new park shelters would make sense, and we're showing new park shelters in the final master. Okay, Boy Scout cabin, currently used primarily for storage. Number of issues with that building. A little bit of a concern for hazardous materials within that building as well. So we actually have a fairly large price to demolish, and that's with that in mind, those hazardous materials in mind. But it would be really important if this were to be reused or refurbished, you'd need to add a bathroom, and you need to do a lot of remediation on those materials themselves. So that becomes quite a task. Chase all that down to get that up to compliant to a public use building. The Girl Scout Legion VF cabin, similar. That one, in terms of hazardous materials, the bathroom is non-ADA compliant. Siding's in some poor condition. Windows, roofs, siding, chimneys, electrical code concerns, some code issues in the kitchen part itself. So again, that becomes more of a much higher cost to refurbish and bring that up to snuff as it would be to that building. Baseball dugouts we talked about a little bit initially. Those are in pretty poor shape. Again, the main issue there is accessibility. Concession stand there as well. Okay. So this is what we're showing to represent as what this master plan could look like. What could this park look like? Fixed all of the major issues, addressed all of our concerns, one fell swoop. So you can see in this plan, generally speaking, keeping that north end fairly open, lots of green space. Really important part of any park is that you've got open green space used in a variety of ways. So knowing that you have 2 baseball fields in that location, in order to rehab those, our thought and what we're representing on this plan is to remove the western ball field and the eastern ball field and replace it with a new 200-foot fence Little League / softball field in the northeast corner. There was a lot of discussion with the Parks Board about fields and use throughout town, so we know that's a more detailed discussion. We tried to strike a balance with this plan in taking 2 fields away, putting 1 back. But if that field becomes, or if the fields become served elsewhere at the school site or elsewhere in town, the need for that may go away. But we wanted to show taking 2 fields and replacing with one that would be accessible and a little shorter outfield. So if you think about the north area being open green space, we're showing a really cool amphitheater that could be built into the hill. Thought about flexible use, community spaces, small groups, large groups, provide you a real flexible event space to be used for various events in town. And if you had a larger concert or you're hosting a larger event, that entire northwest corner could be utilized for that gathering with the stage on the south side. So we're using that natural slope that's already there to try to step in and in. See a new playground, splash pad, basketball court facility here. This becomes really the active zone, that southeast or southwest corner. We are showing a dog park. We know that's also a little bit controversial. There's a lot of varying input on that. This plan is not saying the dog park needs to go there. This plan is saying if there were to be a dog park in this park, that's where we would put it, that southwest corner. So we had originally shown it in here, again, trying to tuck it away from things. And in conversation with the Parks Board, it was recommended for us to move that elsewhere on the southwest corner. We had also shown a new community building in that space that everyone agreed was not necessary on this site. Those needs are being served elsewhere. So that became kind of the relocated dog park area. The other changes that we made, I believe, were just moving the basketball court away and closer to the playground in that active zone and shifting a few park shelters around. So the next step for us is try to break those into meaningful chunks, into projects. Rather than looking at the entire park, let's break it down that you could pick and choose which you decided, what became a priority and what happened first. So the first slide that we're showing is a playground, park shelter, and splash pad, all as one project. Roughly $1 million, 1.1 we're showing. Talked about that with the Parks Board too. If this were to be a goal or a priority, it became the first project, should that parking on the west side be lumped into that? So they all happen together. So as opposed to spending dollars on parking improvements only, you spend that money on an attraction and the park to support that attraction. So that's the goal with this plan, is that you'd be able to break this up and then do the parking and access improvements alongside. So basketball court and a small park shelter, costs associated there. The event space, so we talked about how could we utilize this space near the main pavilion, the brick building, in a better way. So how could we emphasize and promote events? So some food truck parking, creating a climate similar to what you're seeing in these bottom images as an opportunity to host larger events. We know there's lots of power in this area, which is great. So an additional park shelter there, and really this becomes a really great event space to be used for large groups or small groups. That's the dog park image. So what we're showing right now is a quarter of an acre with a small dog and a half an acre for the large. So fairly small in the scale of dog parks. Typically, you're looking for about an acre to an acre and a half, but it would be a mini version of that, and it would fit in that southwest corner. So the amphitheater space that I mentioned, you can see general styling there, showing just the sidewalks and connections, the stage itself, and those amphitheater terraces. Thought that'd be a really great place for yoga in the park or outdoor classroom or various small group events. And then what could an event space canopy look like over that? It'd be something that would be open on both sides. So if there was a band facing either direction or a speaker facing either direction, it'd be flexible that way. Okay, we continuously heard that parking was a priority from the Parks Board. We know that in our plans we had proposed bringing some parking internal to the park itself, so you're not all just parking along the street. So this project here shows the new softball Little League field, a small park shelter in the corner, and then a new parking lot that does enter from 5th Street into the park, also including another small restroom building that would serve these uses on the north end. Okay, so in the northwest corner, current ball field is, that could be replaced with open lawn space that would allow you to, we're showing 3 soccer fields or a variety of flag football fields or multi-use open green space. We're also showing an option, and we didn't get into this much with the Parks Board, was an option for a replacement of a skate park. So if that was a need of this community, wanted to replace the current skate park with a new skate park, we're giving you an estimated total cost there, roughly $500,000. I will say we did one. We didn't personally, or our company didn't, but there was just one recently installed in Cherokee, and I live right by it. I'm continuously surprised with the number of people that are using it. We used to have a smaller, rougher, more outdated skate park, similar to what you all have, and it was replaced with a nice new concrete skate park, similar to what you're seeing in this image, and it's extremely well used. So again, just an option. Our primary park master plan shows a small park shelter in that location, but if you wanted to proceed with a new skate park, roughly $500,000. And finally, some park signage on the corner. So what could be done to announce this park? All 4 corners makes a lot of sense. Calling the major park signage along the highway, and then minor towards the neighborhood, and announcing with some new signage on the corners would be a great way to improve the aesthetics. Okay, so going back to kind of our evaluation of safety and access, what we tried to do, as we've discussed, is to break this into chunks, to projects that can be tackled one at a time or multiple in concert with one another based on the appetite for that project. But what we did is we tried to break it into chunks. So the first one is that northeast corner, roughly $120,000. We move on to each section. So the main change here is depth parking stalls, adding sidewalks along the back sides of those parking stalls so a person can go from their car directly onto the sidewalk without crossing any grass, providing ADA compliant parking stalls, and truly accessible ADA stalls, and then providing accessible parking within the park on this south portion as well. So to get accessible parking both to the gazebo, to the Veterans Memorial, and to your main park building in the center, we're proposing a new parking lot internal to the site, ADA stalls serving each of those three. So rather than trying to focus on getting access from 6th Street up to your Veterans Memorial, the thought was, let's bring an accessible parking stall, an accessible parking lot behind it, internal to the site. So then a cost summary for architecture. Can you remind me, Todd, what that last slide said at the end? So if you improved all the safety and access as we're showing along the perimeter, that's a roughly $900,000 investment. Tough to swallow unless you pair it with something exciting or a new amenity to bring folks in. So the cost summary for architecture, you can see those all broken out. Roughly $400,000 would achieve what we're recommending in here. Some minor fixes, some more substantial fixes, and some demolition. Accessory amenities, those are all totals, trash cans, benches, light poles, etc. We would propose all new lighting that matches. You have inconsistent lighting throughout. And as you develop the site and add new pathways and amenities, adding lighting along those paths would make a lot of sense. So we just ask that those be consistent throughout. Site, yeah. So then this, we took the total off, and we avoided putting a total on this because, again, meant to be a kit of parts, something to choose from. But you can see how all of those dollars are distributed on the site based on each of those components. So we know that's a lot. We really tried to give it a full deep dive assessment based on our professional expertise. We did not have a robust public input process throughout this. This is truly us evaluating the site, making notes about the condition of every bit of the park that we could, and then showing you what we would recommend as a framework to move forward in improving your park. What questions can I answer?
Yes. Any questions for Mike?
Question from my chair in regards to the overall consideration that this is our main city park. How did you take into consideration the other city parks we have in relationship to some of these ideas? And would there be overlap, or would there be, how would that affect the other city parks?
So we did look around at very briefly at the range of other amenities that you have in the community. We tried not to overlap with other offerings in town, but we really did focus on City Park. That was our main driving factor on this was let's get into the weeds on this one particular park. So if there are overlapping interests with other parks in town, I think that's open for discussion, and maybe that just falls lower on the priority list as projects are decided.
I guess as an example of dog park, would this be the only dog park in town, or would there be other opportunities for dog parks in the other parks?
Yes, we had a lot of discussion about dog parks in the Parks Board conversation. To my knowledge, there is not another dog park in town. So, yes, I think that should very, very much be considered as to where makes the most sense. Again, our recommendation here is if it were to go here, this is where we would put it.
Mike, I've been asked a few times about trees. if you're recommending more tree plantings in the park to replace some of the ones that have been removed, or are you satisfied with what's remaining and where they're located?
Yes, so a detailed tree inventory was not something that really came to the forefront of this. There are some young trees that have been recently planted in the park, and I think as those grow and mature, you'll see that canopy develop. We don't have specific recommendations or prescribed tree planting here. We know there was quite a few damage actually just a few days before we came in and looked at everything. But generally speaking, we really like the idea of the north end being fairly open. A lot of green space and less trees, more open lawn and green space. As you can see, we're trying to identify the existing tree canopies here in the dark green, and we are showing new green trees in the lighter. That's to accommodate and to accompany the playground splash pad area. So it's always great to have a mixture. We would think of the south end as being more densely wooded and more trees, the north end being generally more open. So we didn't get into the exact numbers. I can show you what we're showing. We're showing about 12 new trees in and around the playground and splash pad. We know that changes over time. So as you do need to remove older trees or damaged trees, sometimes those provide opportunities and like, wow, this is a nice new sunny spot. We don't want to replace a tree there. So we would trust your judgment on adding those over time, just in a general sense, more trees on the south side and open on the north.
All right. By our agenda, we really should open up for public comments at this point, I think and then move into questions and discussion further. So I'm going to ask at this point, is there anyone here in the gallery that would like to address the council and make comments regarding the park plan? Yes, please step forward to the microphone, state your name, and I'm going to limit comments to 3 minutes. Since it is after 5:30, we'd like to keep this moving along.
That's fine. I have two kind of basic questions.
If you could get a little closer to the mic too, please.
Sorry. Yeah,
You're
my
good.
name is Kristen Overhouse. I live on 6th Street on the south side of the park. I do have two basic questions. One, you talked about updating, minor updates on Veterans Memorial. Right now, it does not represent Space Force, which is our newest branch. Is that part of the minor updating that would be addressed with the Veterans Memorial?
No, we really hadn't accommodated any adjustments, with the exception of some additional landscaping and improvements to the ADA or to the ramp access down to 6th Avenue.
Can I suggest that should be considered as part of this? The other thing, you also suggested new lighting. As I mentioned, I live on the south side of the park. If you could accommodate a little bit the fact that there are people whose bedroom windows face the park, and now with the trees gone, it's a very bright view outside of my bedroom window. If we could address the lighting so that the people that live around the park are not forced to deal with the bright lights all night long, that would be great. I know that sounds nitpicky, but.
No, that's a great comment. And the new LED lighting technology that's happening is a much better shielding and much more directional lighting. So we would see with updated lighting, be able to concentrate that lighting and avoid spilling into neighbors.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jeff Wagner. First of all, what is the operational cost of the water park? Would you project? Do you have any projections on operating the splash pad there?
Oh, no, I can't really speak to that.
And then as I look at the features you've got in the park, how would you come up with these features without taking an inventory of the rest of the community, what features we have elsewhere? I'm having a hard time understanding this plan because it feels like there's a lot of pieces just put here. We need one of these, we'll put this here, we need this here, and not taking into consideration, we have 3 soccer fields and we have some other soccer fields. I mean, I'm kind of questioning how this fits in with the school's needs and what we've got in other parts of the community, only not understanding what the next step of the council what you're going to do. Are you voting to move forward this plan? Or are you voting to, you've not gotten any input from the fact, I guess the real question is the council, what would be the next step in this whole plan? It's about $4 million.
Correct. All right. Anyone else?
Jason Van Matron. Overall, I kind of like the amenities that are in the park. I do question the soccer fields and their proximity to the highway there. If I was playing soccer, I'd be kicking the ball on the road. That'd be a concern for me there. Probably better soccer players out there. So kind of goes along with Jeff's questions, whereas with those amount of soccer fields close to the road there. Also for me, looking at it, I know that you talked about having the north side more open, green space. From the highway perspective, what would draw people into the park is visually appealing versus having all the ball diamonds right there on the corner? Something to consider as you're looking at that.
Okay. Thanks, Jason. Any others? There are 4 public comment letters that we received that are linked to the agenda. I'm not going to take the time to read those now. If you want to see those comments, they are in the agenda, which can be accessed through the city's website.
I did just receive a question. Can I?
Oh,
ask?
yes,
Okay.
you bet.
So I know we talked about this briefly when we first met, but I have someone who's wondering about how many sidewalks does this plan remove for the Avenue of Flags? He's concerned about the Avenue of Flags. Is there, I know we talked about it, but I think we're actually adding more sidewalks, so Avenue of Flags would be fine, correct? Is that?
Yes, in general, we'd be adding sidewalks and or replacing existing sidewalks with new,
Yep.
More accessible. So that's a little in the weeds for the master plan level, but that's certainly something we would accommodate.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, council, now it's our turn. Any other questions or comments at this stage of late? Having heard comments and heard the presentation, I mean, we got into it a little bit initially, but anything else you want to bring up?
Well, I think obviously the Parks Board and or the council is going to have to prioritize some of these things. I don't, as far as next step, I think that's the next step is what's our highest priority.
Right.
One of the things that I am concerned with is looking at new parks or playgrounds, I should say. My concern is that a lot of them are very colorful and they're very artsy. They don't look like much fun. And I, just from observing, as much as we throw rocks at our wooden structure, boy, the kids love it, and they're there constantly. I hope that we can satisfy that equation, because whatever that has to be, it has to be fun. So I don't know how the fun meter works, but at some point we have to decide, does that look like fun or is that just colorful? So.
Okay. Any other comments? Questions?
Even wood structure, is that legal? Whatever term you want to use, wooden structures like that, does that qualify safety?
So there are new wood structures. There's a number of lines that are new wood construction, but they're held to a different standard that the playgrounds were as this one was installed. So they're usually compressed wood. They're a specific grade. They have ASTM standards all associated with those. So the current playground as it stands would not be compliant with today's standards. And that goes for the wooden structure itself, and the accessibility in and through, and also the surfacing. So right now, P-rock and the mulch, generally those are not accessible up to today's standards. So right now you need fall protection, which is generally either poured in place rubber, some kind of, or a different form of rubber. There's a few different types. Poured in place rubber is the best, followed by engineered wood fiber, which is slightly different than regular wood mulch. It avoids a lot of the splinters, and it provides more cushion. And that needs to be a depth of at least 12 inches for the fall heights. So there's a lot of new standards in playgrounds. We wouldn't be able to build the current playground that you have today as is. Certainly find some options to replace it.
Mike, you've done other playgrounds in the area. One, I think I know you did the one in Orange City in the south end. Is that correct?
Yes.
I remember you did a presentation at a gathering of city officials and stuff a year ago, maybe or more, and showed a video. Is that video available on your website?
It is. Yep. You can go to our YouTube page, Beck Engineering. We've got all of our videos from our playground experience there. We've actually done a big variety of playgrounds recently. There seems to be a big uptick in playgrounds. We've got a lot of different types and styles. So I can share all that information.
Yeah. The one from Orange City was particularly caught my attention because of its proximity to Sheldon, knowing some of the people there and hearing comments from those parents of special needs children, for instance, and what makes it, what makes it accessible and stuff. It was enlightening for me to see that video. And if you have interest, I would, either provide that information or go to their website and dig around a little bit, peek around in there. But that was a very good video, I thought.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really a great lesson in what inclusivity means. So we really learned a lot of lessons from that ribbon cutting, and the video does a perfect summary of it. Thank you.
I did hear a comment about that same park this afternoon from a citizen.
Favorable?
Favorable, yes. Very much so.
So that also has a small splash pad like what we're proposing here. It's a very simple mechanism, push button, runs for 5 minutes and then goes away. So it avoids lifeguards and other hazardous issues that you get with larger, more substantial ones. So that's a good example of kind of where we were thinking as we showed a splash pad.
So these cost estimates that you have prioritized 1 to 6 to 18, were those by you or were that driven by the Park and Rec?
So those are not ranked in priority.
Okay.
We didn't really get there with the Parks Board as far as ranking what made the most sense first. It's really a kit of parts or a bunch of options that you could choose from. We did have a lot of discussion focused on the playground and the parking on the west side, and the idea of maybe this playground piece with some parking as being a priority for that group. But again, the hope is that this plan could provide a framework for you all to prioritize from.
Comment from my chair. I think the group did a good job of putting together this final draft, and I appreciate the presentation today. But I do believe that we need to vet this further with the community as a whole. And I'm wondering if we should not structure some open forum presentations outside of this one today to get a little more opportunity for the community to participate and share their ideas and priorities on what's either been presented so far or what needs to be considered moving forward.
I would agree with that, Tom. And as far as the process, the setting and whatnot, that's yet to be determined, but I think the more input we can get on this, and I would even envision something that involved kids' input, being we're talking about a park. They're the ones that are going to be there. And that was a big thing 30-some years ago when the Playground Paradise was built. They went around to schools and got their input, and a lot of that was incorporated into that structure, and it was their park. So.
Yes, and whether or not that makes sense at this stage or to a future stage when you do identify the playground as being a priority, we would just tailor that approach based on whatever it was. If it was talking about the park in whole, again, this represents our evaluation of the whole thing, site and access, safety, and opportunities. But as you get into the weeds on any one of these, this would be a great opportunity for public input. Playground, splash pad area as per Sheldon.
And you mentioned that today it was mentioned at the initial presentation with the Park and Rec Board. Step one, really, in all your recommendation, step one, and I think that was a consensus at that meeting too, was the parking and on the west side and access to the park and the park structure itself, replacing that. You still feel that way?
Yeah.
As far as being probably the place to start with this, if we're going to move forward?
Yes. So we talked a lot about, we know that the access and safety issues along the perimeter are a huge priority, and whether or not that should coincide with an attractive amenity was what we talked about with the Parks Board. So it felt like pairing those and compiling those together would make a lot of sense as a first step. We did that in that park in Orange City. We used the playground. It's a part of a much larger park master plan. The playground became everyone's focus. Let's use this as our anchor. Let's start with that. And let's see if we can get people moving in and out of this park, and then we'll add the extra amenities as we go. So since then, we've added a park shelter and a pickleball court, dog park, and all of those things. But it's really determining what you all feel will make the most impact as a starting point. Knowing that as we do it, we'd like to address all the safety and access along the perimeter.
Any comments from you, Sam?
If we did that, we'd have to determine what we were going to do with the Boy Scout and Girl Scout house because of space. That would be
there's
part
a
of that
list
whole-
of things we'd have to work through, but the initial presentation, what came out of that meeting as far as cutting stuff was the elimination of the community building, given its cost and what we have available in other venues. That was the first one to go. So
I could make a recommendation.
I would love to hear that.
So my recommendation would be is that you put this, excuse me, you have a new council about to be seated, and you put this on the first meeting in January for additional discussion. And at that meeting, you allow additional public comment. And then at that meeting, you can also set a public hearing for a time off in the future where more people can attend if you'd like to do that. But by then you will have had 3, presentations of this, and I think that will be helpful. So my recommendation would be to put this on the first meeting in January for additional discussion.
Or as a good starting place, that sounds good to me. If somebody wants to make that as a motion, we can move that forward then.
Consensus or motion?
Consensus.
Consensus is fine, he's saying, so we'll move by consensus on this one, if that's all right with you. So yeah, that'll be up for discussion on January, whatever that date happens to be. First meeting, first Wednesday in January. So, and then we'll get a little bit of idea of where we're at and move things forward. All right, very good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks, Mike. Yep. All right, move on to our reports portion. Sam, anything further from you?
Thank you, Mayor. There's just one item I would like to highlight from the city manager's report, and that is in the comprehensive and strategic planning section of our website, the documents section. It's real easy to find, sheldoniowa.gov/documents. There's a section on comprehensive and strategic planning, and it has 5 important files. One is the 2015 comprehensive plan. The next is the strategic plan, which was adopted a year ago December and discussed on the 19th of November a few weeks ago. And there's also the corridor plan, which is a subset of the strategic plan that was discussed a few weeks ago. We can discuss that further at a future meeting. Then there's the draft city park master plan, and then the SCDC downtown review and presentation, which Mark Brown and I discussed today about putting that on the December 17 agenda for a brief presentation and follow-up. That's all I have.
Okay. Todd, anything from you today, tonight? Mark, anything from you?
Yeah, just a quick note of that forum that did occur last night. We had approximately 50 folks here to talk about downtown. So as Sam mentioned, we'll talk more about that at a later meeting. But it was a very successful night, and we enjoyed the input and recognize it's just a very early step, but it started some great conversation. Second thing for me is on your calendar, well, our monthly luncheon is December 18th. It's going to be a good one. They're all good, but this is going to be really good. The Midwest Flying Service is going to be present at that meeting and talk about all the cool stuff they're doing. So SCDC members, and even if you aren't, we'll work you in. December 18th would be a good one to mark on your calendar. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Angie?
Nothing.
anything? Council to my left?
Thank you.
Chantel? Tom, anything from you?
Nothing more, thank you.
Okay, I handed out a sheet to each of you with committee assignments, a revised sheet from what I sent you earlier this week. Take a look at that. If you have any input, questions for me, get a hold of me tomorrow, tonight, whatever. Jeff, I have a sheet for you as well. You can take a look at that. So, and that's all I have. So with that, I will take a motion, consider a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Eggers.
Aye.
Ostra.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Kent.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming tonight, by the way, and have a good evening.
Thanks.